Great to see so many people here. You can imagine that this is a very exciting day for us. And I must thank the team for making this happen, because Manon and I were last night, 12 o'clock I think it was, still checking the website and taking Latin language out of the website. And I'm sure you haven't found anything wrong with the website, because they all did a great job. Thank you very much. It's good to see so many stakeholders, I would like to call you. It's both people we work with, both investors. And this is the way I'd like to continue communicating with all our stakeholders. I am not a guy who likes to write long RNSs, because somehow the message is always interpreted in the wrong way. I'd rather have a conversation like we have now. And I've got a couple of slides, and during the slides, please interrupt, and we'll have a conversation about any subject you'd like, and I'll be as free and open as I can. We've got a nomad here. He may start to kick me and do stuff, and then you all know that I've gone beyond my boundaries. So that's why we've got Roland here. Right, beautiful picture. This is the scarlet ibis. And the scarlet ibis is the national bird of Trinidad. More about that later. The strapline. This is a new strapline for Columbus. We've been using it for the last month. Building an oil-led production business in South America focused on exploration. We believe that the combination of having production within our portfolio, complementing the exploration upside, that will create your transformation opportunities. Everything I'm saying from now on is a lie. And this is the team. As of this morning, Gordon is the CFO of the team. Stuart we introduced last time at VSA. Stuart is already out there in Trinidad doing a great job. Gordon is already getting his hands around the models and all the financials and finding opportunities and clever ways to make our money last longer. And I'm the talking head of the three. We get on like a storm. Very like-minded, very experienced. All in each of the territory, with all very different characters. I'm high level, arm wavy. Gordon makes sure I have my facts right, and Stuart just delivers and tells me to shut up when I have to shut up. Why are we so intrigued with this opportunity? Because in previous interviews and talks, when you Google me, Leo Coat, you get 3 hits. The first hit is probably that my wife has been robbed recently and her jewelry was stolen from the house. Hit number 2 is that I ran the TAQA Iraq, the Abu Dhabi National Energy business in Iraq. And number 3 is the Abu Dhabi National Energy business in the UK. Really big businesses. So the UK business, we managed to build up from standing start to $2.5 billion in the space of 5 years. I believe that Columbus has got similar opportunities, similar scope of growth in that direction. Won't be $2.5 billion, but it will be the similar multiples. So that's why, although I could have retired after my TAQA days, Gordon effectively pulled me back in. This is something you need to have a look at and really understand. So what were the main things which intrigued me in this business? Is first of all, it has got a base. So we do have 11.8 million barrels in the ground, 2P. So that's proven. It's there. It's just there to be produced. We've got an opportunity within our existing portfolio to build that up to 22 million barrels of oil. That is already a good starting kit. It is the intriguing bit is that is this special, very special crude. And if you saw the interview this afternoon, I'm very excited about this stuff. This is 38 API, and we produce this from 500 meters. And apologies if you heard me say this before, but normally at 500 meters depth you produce tar. It is heavy stuff. It's nasty, it's difficult to produce. It often has H2S because bacteria has been able to get at it and deteriorate the crude. This stuff is not like that at all. So in my mind, below the Gudrun oil field, there has to be another big accumulation, which we haven't seen yet. So there's a big monster under our existing oil fields for us to explore and develop.
I've just got one question, because Neil Ritson was supposed to be the geologist.
Yes.
Why would he have not seen that previously?
He did see it.
Okay.
And he was the first one to tell me about it.
Okay.
But if you are stuck in a particular mindset, you need a fresh pair of eyes to find new opportunities. And I think this opportunity was clearly missed. I'll turn this around. Please have a look at this stuff. See how light it is. So, is that good enough an answer?
Yeah.
I
just thought he's never, so before it was never explained as to what that meant to anyone, I don't think. So.
Yeah. Well, what Neil explained to me in our first conversations is that deeper down in the Cretaceous, there must be oil accumulation. And what we're seeing here are the lighter ends, because the lighter ends, the gas, the diesel, the petrol, they migrate up in Earth, and they then get trapped in the sands we're producing them from. So there must be something there. So that's one bit. That's just one bit. The other bit is that the previous team has built up a very nice portfolio in the Southwest Peninsula. We can see at least 3 to 4 very good exploration prospects, and these are material prospects. They're 200 million barrel prospects, and that's $1 billion territory. So there's a lot of money there. Normally, exploration results give you a 1 in 3 chance. So if we have 4, you would think that the odds are in our favor to materialize one of those big discoveries. Complement that with whatever is below Gudrun deep, you start seeing the picture. The other intriguing bit is that the heydays of LGO, 2014, 2015, people saw big production rates from these wells. Some wells were doing close to 2,000 barrels a day. That's a lot of oil for a land well. But what happened subsequently, very quickly, that you can see that from this chart, very quickly you could see pressure drop off, or the production drop off. And that is purely driven by a lack of pressure in the reservoir. These are shallow reservoirs, and shallow reservoirs don't have a lot of support from pressure normally. So that's inherent with where you find the oil. A lot of people see that as a risk. I see that as opportunity, because these wells, they have the potential to produce this. So you know that they can deliver oil at this rate. So all you need to do is bring the pressure in the reservoir back to the level where it was when you just drilled the well. And then you get similar rates. Well, the way to do that is very simple, by injecting water. And in Trinidad, there's a lot of water around. So that's where our future program is going to be very much focused on. Having worked in Iraq, I realized that it's very important to also operate in a stable area of the world. Trinidad is an oil province, has been for a long time, relatively stable government. It is a second world country, but it just works. You get things done. If you have the right contacts, you can make progress. So those are 4 very important pieces, and 4 which excited me enough to start with Columbus. This is a lot of words on this slide, and I'm going to be talking to this for quite a while. This is our strategic roadmap, and this is the tool which I'm going to use to communicate with all our stakeholders on our progress and what our plans are and how we've been performing against our promises. So this is core. It's going to be developing. This is day 32 in my career in Columbus. So it's still work in progress, but it is already shaping up to be mature enough to share with you. Today the launch, so fresh start, forget about the past, forget about the bad legacies. We've got a good asset base, we've got a good brand, we've got a good team, so onwards and upwards. The team is starting to build robust processes, robust decision-making processes, and that's critical in making sure you spend the right money on the right project. Our first target, this is the blue dot, is positive cash flow. We're speaking to some of you already. We had to get off the treadmill of raising money to pay our salaries. So first thing we did is, well, the three of us, Stuart, Gordon and myself, said, well, we don't need big salaries, so half our salaries is paid in shares. So we are completely aligned in what's important for our shareholders. So there's no distinguish between management and shareholders. So that's therefore positive cash flow is very important. We don't want to go to our shareholders and ask for money for G&A. We are focused on making sure that our current G&A comes down. You know that we have already moved or going to move offices next week. Previous office bill was £30,000 a month, and now we're going into an office space with £8,000 a month. Very simple, straightforward, looking after your money exercises. So that's one element of the getting to neutral cash flow, positive cash flow. The other element is, of course, increasing your production, because that's where the money comes in. So that's where Stuart is very much focused on. Stuart and I, to be honest. Three things we're working on at the moment as we speak. There is an extensive program ongoing in production optimization. So we're going through each individual well and making sure they produce and deliver to the maximum of their ability. Next week we'll be converting one of the new drilled wells from a free-flowing well to a pumped well, because we believe that on pump you can maybe just add 50 barrels per day, just like that. So that's a quick win, we call it. There's many more of those opportunities. We can add additional perforations. I'm looking at the geoscience ladies to keep me straight. There's additional perforations we can shoot and open up new zones. So there's many small incremental opportunities. I already talked about the water injection program. I call it program rather than pilot. Strictly speaking, it is a pilot. But what we've done is we've created a case where we can bring forward all the activities around our water injection. Strictly speaking, you need to go through a lengthy process of getting your permits in place, but we are operating the fields. We can already start doing some pressure tests. We can start already doing some work on the water injection and build up the knowledge and expertise to the point where I believe that sometime this summer, after the summer, we could be injecting water already. So that's nearly a year ahead of schedule. I'm very enthused by that. The bonus field reactivation. 3 pumps we had on 3 wells we had on pump already. So we've been having a rig in the field. We've worked over 3 wells. 1 well is flowing continuously. The other wells we need to do some more work on. But we believe that in a couple of weeks' time we're going to have all 3 wells producing continuously and at least covering the costs again for bonus. So that is not a drain to our resources. So that's. I was telling you this is going to take a long time before I've got through this slide, and I need some. So that's step number 1. We're at share price 3-ish now. I think we should be at 6 by the time we get there. There's 2 elements of value growth. Value growth through production and value growth through exploration. Value growth through exploration is the sexy bit. That's where we can really make money collectively. Value growth through production is where you've got a solid, robust business. That business is like Shell and will bring you dividend returns for a long time. So that's just doing the business right. We've already identified additional injection programs. The three I want to mention is that I talked about these high rate wells coming in. So the next pilot should be focused on supporting one well, 670. And that's the best well we've got in the field. That produced, how much did it produce at its peak?
So, it's a peak at
1,000 barrels.
per day.
So, and now it's doing?
40 barrels.
40. So the well's got a potential to produce 1,000, but only doing 40 now. So all you need to do, in my mind, is increase the pressure in that reservoir, and then build up, and then effectively the oil is washed to that well, and very easy to get it up to 200, 300, 500. Who knows? But the potential is there. The other thing is the pilot, this first pilot, we are targeting the sea sands. So the sea sands are relatively deep sand where we are, and it's discontinuous. It's very difficult to see the sand in all the wells. So it's uncertain that if you would pump water in one well, you would get the pressure response in the other well. That's not the case in the shallow Mayaro sand. That's a very thick package, very continuous. So that's an easy target to start taking that risk of where is my water going out of the system. So that's our next target we're going to be doing. Then when we've really learned about the reservoir and understand the direction we're going, we're going to design infill wells as pairs. Never drill a well on their own, because within weeks you're not going to have any production left. So always in pairs, so that there's a well which supports the pressure and a well which produces. And you can talk about pairs, but it can be threesomes, so you can be creative about this, but that's the philosophy. Never just drill wells for the sake of drilling wells. So that's the water injection plan. And this is value growth production, remember? I'm very intrigued in the lost well. The LGO team, they've lost one of their best wells, I believe. They were stuck with drilling tools downhole. So they not only lost the cost of the well, they also lost a very expensive bit of equipment, $2 million. Plus they didn't get any production from the well. So that was a very big hit for the company. But ironically, what this LWD tool, this very expensive tool, saw was that there was a much thicker sand deeper down in the reservoir. Well, I would like to have some of that sand producing. So that's one of the first wells we're going to be re-drilling, rather than the last campaign, the last team was on all these shallow Mayaro wells. We need to cement this in value. So at some stage we're going to pull in a competence persons report, we're going to increase our reserve base, and that's going to inflate our net asset value. So that's a very easy, so many pence per share increment, and I think by this time we would be at 12 pence. Value growth through exploration. That's where the sexiness comes in. We were talking about it this morning. I already mentioned the 3 to 4 prospects. The odds are in our favor, so we have to just play this card. We have to be involved in this part of the business. Whether we want to take the exploration risks all ourselves, I'm not sure, because these wells will cost around $50 million. Probably we'll ask one of the big boys, Schlumberger, BP or Shell, to come in and either carry us on the well or farm in or do some kind of deal where we still hold 50% of the ownership, but they take all the financial risks. That is, a company our size, that's a prudent way. But to be able to get there, we need to really make this package look sexy. They need to really look good. And that's why we've got the ladies. And then the final step is, once we've got a discovery, we will have transformational. And then in this area, the sky's the limit. You start talking silly silly money, like Sound now has done, because they've grown from a size similar to our business to there's 700 million now. So there are examples out there which really can make this work. And damn, we're going to try this. So that's a lot of... Oh yes, interesting, thank you. This timeline is between 3 and 5 years. Our base plan is that we all do this organically. So we build our position where we are cash flow neutral. We then start creating free cash. The free cash we then start investing in our fields, and so on and so on. So we built the whole portfolio out of our own cash without going to the shareholders for more money.
Leo, as far as stage 1 is concerned, is the finance in place already to go ahead with that? With respect to that water?
Gordon?
Yeah, pretty much so. I mean, with the reduction in the cost base and some tweaks on the production, and particularly on the initial quick wins, we could probably be cash flow neutral in 3 or 4 months. So in a cash flow neutral position, then you've got to you build your production, you build your cash flow position. And I think Leo is just going to then lead into the next bit. We believe we can go cash flow neutral, and we work from our current funds. But then the question is that the right way of building the company?
Yeah, our trump card in that whole position is the Lind facility. We've got $1.5 million loan still left with Lind, which we're paying off $100,000 a month. If we can negotiate a different deal, different transaction where we don't have to or get rid of that debt burden, then getting to free cash is much quicker. So, but to the acceleration point, this program is 5 years. We do it from organic cash flows. If we bring a cornerstone investor, or if we can create an environment around a business where we can introduce additional capital without diluting or without the existing shareholder base losing value, then we can speed up this program. Then I believe we can do this within the space of 3 years. So that's a balance we need to do collectively. And I'll be reaching out to some of you to make sure that we make sure that all stakeholders are on board before we do such a thing. That's a big promise. And that's where I get to my values. Tom Winifirth, he doesn't really see the values. I, however, do. I think he's got a problem with values because it very quickly turns into corporate speak, and then there is a logo on the wall, and then there's words and text, and the text gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it becomes a 35-page document, and no one looks at it anymore. I believe in this because you can make it personal, and we do make it personal. The stronger together, for instance, within Columbus, within LGO, we've got 2 distinct businesses. You've got the London office and you've got the Trinidad office. They distrust, there's lack of respect, and it's people not wanting to work together. So if you, using our core values, can tackle that problem and can have a conversation, well, why aren't you sharing that data with me? Because otherwise I can't be doing my job and the business will be suffering as a result. You suddenly have a tool where you can have that difficult conversation without being confrontational. So I believe it's very, very, very powerful. The personal responsible bit, Gordon, Stuart, and I are going to be delivering this business. We are personally responsible to you, our shareholders. So I very strongly believe in this, and this will be the future of Columbus, and this is how we'll be operating. And I've seen it work very efficiently in Taka, and that's what helped us make $2.5 billion company. Now something lighter. How did we design the logo? First of all, there's 6 feathers, because we've got 6 values. 6 values. And this is the scarlet ibis, and these are the feathers of the ibis. Those are the feathers in the logo. The Gudrun had the nice little oil drop in the past, so some clever designer put it all together and came up with this lovely bright logo. Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
Yeah, have you considered an open offer to all shareholders?
Yeah.
To pay the loan off as well?
Can we share this? Yeah, that's certainly something we will.
I mean, the stage it is at the moment, I think the take-up would be fairly good, knowing next year what's likely to happen.
I'm not sure how free we can be there, but in my dream world, I would like to have a cornerstones, 2 or 3 cornerstones who would take up a certain chunk, and then
Or they can back it up.
Back it up, absolutely no.
and then open it up in an open offer.
Absolutely. Anything will be an open offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But only if we collectively believe that will improve the share price.
Yeah.
People on, a lot of the trouble is with placings, they get sold into the market, and that's the issue. The existing shareholders are far more likely to hold on for a year
Yeah.
for 2 to 3% gain.
We've been playing with the idea of offering warrants as part of that deal, so that warrants would have a lock-in period. I think logistically that's difficult with all the shareholders to monitor, to manage that, but that would hold your shareholders for a longer period.
I'm a small investor.
No, I saw yours. No, you're a material investor.
The last dilution pretty much wiped out years of my own savings and reduced the price significantly. Are you pretty sure you won't have to do another dilution to raise more money in the next, well, let's say a year, let's have a grace period or something?
Our strategy is completely focused around that treadmill the previous management was on. We have to move away from that. So our promise has been that any further raising of capital in the business has to be accretive. Yeah. And then maybe, yeah.
Something that I think that Neil was suggesting to stay on for was to get some money back from Spain. Is that Cedros? Is that correct?
Yes. No, that's not Cedros. That's Spain. That's CPS. I think.
Is that right? I thought I got it.
Yeah.
There was the assets in Spain, which look like they're not going to be abandoned. Is that correct?
First of all, I see Spain as a distraction. So what we need to do is try and get a clean an exit as quick as possible,
Yeah.
so that we can focus on the real thing.
And Neil said that we had some value left there.
It's a mixed bag. So we've got several liabilities and there's an element of value. So that have people still on our payroll, but then now suspended. And if we go through a normal process in Spain, then it's going to cost some money to make them redundant. The liability of decommissioning the field if there is no further takers after the license is renewed is a liability. The upside there is that we've got equipment, we've got a couple of trucks, tanks, a drill rig, I think, which we can sell, which would cover some of those liabilities. But that's all in the doom and gloom scenario. So that's if there's no more license, it's pack up and go. The more likely scenario is that the Spanish government is going to renew the license, and then we can tender to be the operator for that license. That is a soft promise in the previous license documents that we're going to be the preferred bidder. So if we come up with a decent offer, we'll be able to get access to those licenses. However, we would not want to run and operate that. It's just 50 barrels a day. It's not material. We think our focus should be here in Trinidad and South America. So probably what we'll do is find a good partnership, and there is several companies interested, where they take on the operations and we take over an overriding royalty, helping us with the cash flow. So that's, for me, the ideal scenario. He briefed me this morning.
Yeah. That's the result.
Have we forward sold any oil at all? Or
No.
So we're going down at the moment with the oil price?
Unfortunately.
We sell our oil to Petroton
Yeah.
through an agreed mechanism, and we get the same price as everybody else in Trinidad. And we actually
I
get
thought we
paid
got more because of the
slightly more, but I mean, we actually get. I've worked around the world, and we get paid on time which is really unusual. We get cash in the bank on time, which is really unusual. So I mean, in that environment, it's a pleasant surprise. 'Cause
The
you
sweet
can
spot's
quite-
still about 50 though. For us.
It's WTI minus a discount. It's a refinery discount
Yeah,
that
yeah.
mixes through. It depends how much, literally depending on how much product's coming from Russia and what the cost is and what the way it mixes in the refinery. So it's very transparent, the process and the pricing we get, but we get the pricing we get. But we run our models on WTI minus X, you know, and make a judgment with normal risk factor associated. We can manage our cash flow comfortably on $45 of oil, you know, in terms of what we've been talking about. $50 oil, that's a nice addition.
Yeah. Is David Lennigat still a major shareholder in clubs now? Or?
No, I've never met a gentleman.
Okay.
2-3%.
2-3%?
As we understand.
Okay.
No.
And how many of the old board are remaining with you?
There's one. This Fergus is still. He's on the board. And his contribution to the board is primarily historic knowledge. There's 60 producing wells, so you can imagine there's a lot of institutional knowledge which we need to be careful with not to lose. Stuart is on a contract where, Fergus. Fergus.
Who's Stuart?
Yeah. Fergus is on a contract where he's 2 days on our payroll, and the rest he is on someone else's payroll. So costs are optimized.
And I know not focused on the past, because obviously she's moving on. With that, the drill that got stuck down the well,
Yes.
it cost all this money.
Yeah.
Was it how come that was never insured or anything like that, or was that just not happening in business?
Aye, that's the first question I asked when I came in. So, and what did the insurance pay? Well, nothing. I wasn't there.
Right. Yeah, no.
There's no way of recovering anything there.
It was self-assured. Was self-assured, and at the moment the tool is cemented in the ground, so because it's radioactive. So once you can't recover it, you need to abandon it in a way where it won't damage the environment.
Neil said he couldn't get insurance for it. That's
Probably right. He's probably right.
Well, no, I don't believe that. He probably couldn't get economic insurance for it. At the end of the day, he would have been paying for the tool. So that's nuance, I think. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I mean, people suggested that below a certain depth it wouldn't have been insured.
Yeah.
It was insured
Yeah.
in-house. That was the sort of reliable source that
Everything insurable.
But you're right, yeah.
Everything can be insured as long as you're willing to pay, but at some stage it doesn't make sense anymore.
But I think it was risk management was the final way to do it.
And there were questions about how it was done. That's the trouble. Maybe it could have been avoided, I think.
Every stuck pipe event can be avoided. Yeah. And that should be our philosophy. I'm going to be out there in week after next, and when the first well is going to be drilled, when they're in the reservoir section, I'm going to be in Trinidad. Just making sure that the right focus is.
Can I just ask, as a team, have you worked with Gordon before, and I haven't seen?
Well, we have our careers have passed and crossed throughout the times. I think first time was you an Acorn and I was an EDP.
Yeah, and I was in the North Sea. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Madagascar Oil, Sterling Energy was in Madagascar Oil. So there has been touch points. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the major parties wanted to do a farming with us. Would you consider a full sale of Combus?
Everything's for sale.
True.
And
we have had interest on the
Yeah.
exploration license. I mean, they have not got a notice from small companies, international companies. We've got a very big resource. We need to work on the resource in terms of the technical database and so on. But this is a big resource, and like all oil companies, there's a risk associated with it. You know, I think you go on to explain the story with the majors and what the way the majors are changing their philosophy now. It's
Yeah.
fundamentally different.
Yeah, with the current oil price, in the environment where oil price was $80 plus, an oil major always is hungry for more reserves because they produce their oil every day and they always need to find more oil to be able to continue that production. So they had to go into very difficult frontiers, the Arctic, deep water drilling, very high cost operations. In this oil price environment, they can't justify that expense anymore. An exploration well cost somewhere between $50 and $75 million. That's well, it just doesn't work. So they still, however, need to replace their reserves. So now they go look for other areas, and we're right in the middle of it. So the area they're looking for is low-cost, land-based operation with material discovery potential. Well, that's our Southwest Peninsula. So that's why I believe that if we build up that exploration portfolio, make it really look nice, with some robust engineering and geoscience behind it, I'm convinced we'll get at least the majors interested to either take over and we can sell at the profits and drink champagne at the bar, or they carry us and then we get a ride in the upside.
How many barrels do Trinidad use a day?
Itself,
Yeah.
not a great deal. No, not. The refinery has got the capability to refine 200,000 barrels per day, and that's the maximum capacity. The minimum capacity is 160,000 barrels a day. If the refinery goes below that, then it can't run anymore. So the refinery now is running between 160 and 170,000 barrels a day. So it needs more oil. So the more oil we produce, we always have got a good customer.
Where does it mainly export to?
Sorry?
Where does it export to?
In global market. So the refined products go all over the world.
And what they're doing to get to that 160,000 today is bring in Russian crude or Venezuelan crude, and the cost, you can imagine the cost. So there's a real game if we can replace that. The exponential difference to Trinidad if we just use indigenous product. So
Leo, you started your presentation by saying that you were considering retirement. This
Yes.
is a job you didn't necessarily need.
No.
So clearly something is infused you.
Yes.
If you look at your timeline, be that 3 to 5 years, and bearing in mind that your package is based around share price, optimistically, what would you hope, from a personal perspective, to achieve as a share price within that period?
Well, I gave you indicative numbers along the line.
You mentioned 6p.
So there's 3, 6, 9, 12, and then it goes to 24, and then
You don't believe that's unrealistic?
no. No.
Just going back to the old share price, I think £1.20 now before it was consolidated.
Same-
with the old
same company.
6p, so you still believe you
Yeah.
can get that and beyond.
Yeah. And if you do the sums, 200 million barrels of oil, that's a lot of value.
Oh, yeah.
So if one of those exploration targets come in, that's where your sexiness is.
Yeah, got it.
And that's the game Sound has been playing. That's the game Echo is playing.
And when we talk about Echo, a lot of people are saying about Echo on the. We don't know a lot about Echo. Who are
Well, Echo put my foot in it, didn't I? Echo is, at the moment, it is a vehicle with the ambition to do big exploration with big E in South America.
they've got no assets?
They've got no assets,
Right.
but they've got $20 million pounds in the bank. So they've got debt and they've got equity, so they're cash rich, opportunity constrained. We're the reverse. We're opportunity rich, cash constrained.
I was just wondering, are your financial projections based on, let's say, $50 a barrel? if, heaven forbid, it goes down yet again, which we easily do, what price are we in stock? And secondly, what about the threat of electric cars? Are you worried about that in the short term or the next 10 years?
I've got several answers.
Oh, you
You go first. I go. So,
I'm not worried about electric cars. They are 10, 20 years out to affect oil businesses in practical terms. Because, you know, this is simple dynamics of building up the volume and to have a hit on what is a huge industry worldwide. In terms of what price, I run my models and I can get a price where, again, if we're working on the basis of break even, then if we're at $35 and I'm like every oil company in the world looking over my shoulder, if we are, you know, but if you're at $35, once you're $40, you're in that kind of mindset of, yeah, we can make this work. I think a couple of points to mention is, I've worked in Madagascar, Ukraine, Turkmenistan, Algeria, UK, whatever. The cost base in Trinidad, we've got 13 employees in Trinidad. We've got smart contractors who are aligned with us, and we've got a very low cost base. So our cost base runs between, depending on what we're producing, $5 or $10 a barrel for OPEX. That's really unusual, you know? And then you look at your CapEx costs, actually it doesn't cost a lot of money, it's onshore, so, you know, to turn that into some return, it's quite quick. And because you're onshore, you can drill wells reasonably quickly as well. So your F&D cost, your final development cost, is pretty low. So you put that together with a tax regime in Trinidad, which is pretty, you know, in world oil terms, pretty good. They take a royalty. We have to take a hit on the oil price because of the refinery mix. But actually, if you look at it in the context of oil provinces, I've just done 3.5 years in Madagascar. This is good, you know, in that context. So I think, you know, the fundamentals are there in terms of actually can you run a business and make it profitable in Trinidad. It's absolutely true. You know, so that was my low-level answer.
yeah, well,
And South America.
And South America, yeah.
so my view is that oil price will be somewhere between $45 and $55. I think that's where it's going to be fluctuating for the coming couple of years. So that's what we're going to run our models on. As Gordon mentioned, our cost of pure lifting cost is peanuts, $4 or $5. That is Middle Eastern territory, so that is really low. But if you add all the other costs, I think if we squeeze it a bit, we can still make money at 20. But there won't be any growth.
Thanks very much. That's
Yeah.
right.
Ready for drinks?
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much.